Should we do a take two?
Okay. Mr. Boonstra.
Here.
Mrs. Rubenstein.
Here.
Mr. Scanlon.
Here.
Mr. Stanley.
Here.
Mayor Madigan.
Here.
Thank you.
Joyce, do you have all the finance
I
committee
do.
signatures?
Yes,
Everything's in
signed.
order?
Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to switch the agenda just in case we have a couple of folks coming in. So I'm going to ask for a motion to open the meeting, 10-minute public comment, 2 minutes per speaker. Public comments on any government issue that a member of the public feels may be of concern to the residents of the Township of Wyckoff.
So moved.
Second.
Do we need a
All in
number?
favor?
Aye. Do we need number 3?
Yeah, you missed the open work session.
That's all
Okay.
right. We'll go back to that. Anybody from the public wish to speak? Can I have a motion to close to the public then?
So moved.
Second.
All in
Okay.
favor?
Aye.
Okay, Joyce, can you do the open public work session?
Sure.
Meeting
This regular
minutes.
work session meeting of the Wyckoff Township Committee is now in session. In accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act, notice of this meeting appears on our annual schedule of meetings. A copy of the annual schedule has been posted on the bulletin board in Town Hall. Copy's been filed with the town clerk, Record, Ridgewood News, and North Jersey Herald and News, all newspapers having general circulation throughout the Township of Wyckoff. At least 48 hours prior to the meeting, the agenda was posted, filed, and mailed to the papers.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Okay, we're going to continue on. We're going to do number 5 on the agenda. We got a special occasion this evening. We have John Scolacci, third, who's here tonight, right? Joe?
Joseph.
Joseph?
Joseph John.
Joseph John. Well, it's a good thing I'm not handling it. Our fire commission is going to handle it. I thought his name was Joe, but I'm looking through bifolk.
Sure. All right.
Tim, could you handle it?
I will take over.
Thank you.
Joseph John Squillace III, influenced by his younger brother Nick, Joseph John Squillace III, has decided he would also like to serve his community as junior member of Protection Fire Company Number 1. Joseph is a lifelong Wyckoff resident and a rising senior at Ramapo High School, where he has consistently achieved high honor roll and was recently inducted into the National Honor Society. He is a member of the Ramapo High School cross-country team and throws discus for the track team. Joseph works part-time at a local restaurant as a counterperson and waiter and is an active member of Boy Scout Troop number 89, where he will be earning his Eagle Scout rank shortly. Congratulations, and I look forward to swearing you in. Let me call you up to swear you in.
You want to move the flag down?
What's that?
You want to bring the flag down so you can have it behind you?
Not too easy. Other way around, other way around. You got it.
I state your name. You solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and to the governments established in the United States and in this state, under the authority of the people. So help me God. And I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the office of fire, according to the best of my ability, and that I will not use my office to grant preferential treatment nor seek personal gain, favor, or advantage
nor seek personal gain, favor, or advantage
not available to the public.
not available to the public.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Take a picture.
Squash Family Library? Oh, okay, you got all kinds, oh, I got it. There you go, Clay. Grab another one. You want everybody in? Sheet of water, lemon squeeze. Everybody's got it, great? I'm good.
I'll tell you the story behind it for the second.
You're gonna have a tie on for that, Joe.
Indiana, Mary Ellen, and Athol, you know.
We'll see.
There you go.
Congratulations, Joe.
Congratulations. What? No. Well, so he can sign downstairs now if he wants, okay? She's there till 8 o'clock. Is she? Fine. Yeah, go ahead, go for it. Absolutely. You're welcome. Oh, are they going over to look at the car?
That's the excitement for tonight.
Yeah, that should be the excitement for tonight.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, it was a good idea to bring the flag down. I thought it was still attached to the wall. Last time it was attached to the wall.
Why isn't it back
I don't know.
Yeah, so
Should be.
usually
No,
don't see it.
Unless they're afraid somebody out there
Yeah.
could weaponize it during municipal court.
This thing had it attached to the wall.
Yeah,
Oh, is that why?
Good to see
That's
you.
why I don't think it could move.
So that's for safety.
Somehow they changed it again.
But we should,
It's a little goofy.
I mean, if they want it up here for municipal court, I get it, but we should have it over here for our.
Well, they wanted so
really
they could
should.
take the photos.
Well, we should have two of them.
Let's see his budget. Okay. All right, continuing right along. That was very nice. Very nice, and it's nice to have
Sure thing.
junior firefighters, future junior firefighters here. I'm just gonna make one comment on the business meeting agenda. Normally we'd have a business administrator, just a quick update. Bob Shannon, as most of you know, had knee surgery a week ago Monday, and he's convalescing, he's making progress, he's going to therapy. He's hurting, but, he's doing pretty well, so anybody has a chance to wish Bob well or give him a phone call, feel free to do so. All right? I see Tom Garlick is here, I know Rob's coming a little later. Let's just, I just want to do one thing before I go to committee reports, is we did have a request from the YMCA to, as part of their camp and part of their outreach with the Y and Hackensack Meridian, to have a helicopter come to the premises on the 26th, which is a week from Friday, 10 o'clock, approximately an hour and a half. I think in your package you saw an extended letter from Joey Vitero, and I know a couple of people had a few concerns, but they'd just like to have it discussed so we can talk to Joyce and figure which direction we're going. I know, Rudy, you'd expressed something to me.
Well, I mean, this obviously involves the police department, and Tim, you may want to chime in on the fire department. Chief Murphy was asked to have a look at it, and he determined that the Pullis Field site once was an approved helicopter landing spot, but it no longer is, because the footprint that was the helicopter spot now has the artificial turf on it, and the prop wash from the blades will damage the artificial turf. Now, I guess the Y is proposing to land a helicopter in the parking lot, which is maybe 40 yards to the north of where the other landing spot had been. So that's not a material change. So I guess the feeling is that the Pullis Y site is still an accepted official landing spot for a helicopter, whether it be for a training exercise like Joy is proposing, or a real life incident. There was talk of having two police cars, two police officers there for safety, because there'll be a lot of youngsters around for safety. If this happens, and I think that's appropriate, probably as a special detail, like we do for other things, and a fire pumper also. Tim, you may want to weigh in on that. But from where I sit, I see no reason that we shouldn't let the Y go ahead with this, based on the fact that it was an approved landing spot. We're just changing the footprint by about 40 yards where the helicopter will land, as long as all safety concerns are met to the satisfaction of the two chiefs. And based on the letter that Joy sent us, indicating that there is some educational value for the youngsters who will witness this, and, I guess probably tour the helicopter and everything else.
So they'll take some steps the evening before to make sure nobody parks, and
They'll relocate cars, yeah, they'll keep it
because
clear.
I'm
I
just
think
worried
that's in
like
her
somebody's
letter.
going to pull in, oh, wow, an empty lot, and park
Yeah,
right in the
no,
middle.
they'll be sure it's clear, and I'm sure the police will as well. I also think that the folks at Spring Meadow should be notified, so they're aware of what's going on, so they don't think there's something wrong. So, that's my 2 cents, if anyone else.
Let's see, have any thoughts?
I just want to make sure, is there any liability on the town's part, or this would all be covered under the Y's insurance?
With the helicopter landing.
Yeah.
The Y's will be covered.
Okay, so it's no liability.
It's their
on the
event, and
town.
they
Yeah, it's a
got
Y
a lease
event.
to use the parking lot too, so. I think that's where it's coming in, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I should mention that 2 weeks ago, when we had the Junior Police Academy, we had a similar exercise with the cadets there. And we landed at Memorial Field, which is also an approved landing site for a medevac helicopter. So, and there were police, obviously there were police officers present, and there was a fire pumper on standby at the same time.
Do we know what time of day they're trying to do this?
Do not know. Do not know.
It starts out about 10 a.m.
I thought it was in the morning.
Is that what it is?
10 a.m. for an hour and a half.
Then I missed that. It's scheduled, tentatively scheduled
Yeah,
for
10 a.m. would be-
Friday the 26th. 10 a.m., thanks,
Yes,
Chris. Friday the
for
26th.
about an hour and a half.
And if I'm not mistaken, Tim Brock said he would be able to have a pumper there?
He did.
Okay.
And I know there's traffic concerns, but I guess 10 o'clock should be,
Actually, I talked to Joey about it, I saw it on something else, and they're working on that.
Well, by then, all the campers should be in camp. So.
Yeah.
because we're getting a lot of comments, not to switch subjects, a lot of comments, emails, phone, texts, about how the town is all tied up from, 8:45 to 9:15 every morning, no one gets through town, so. Do you have any concerns on the helicopter, Tim? Or
No,
Brian, or
no, I do
comments,
not.
or- My only comment would be that, I would agree that, my biggest concern would be for safety. I'm not overly, personally, I'm not overly warm to the idea, but I see you got kids there at camp. I think it might be, special for them, get an opportunity to see a medevac, helicopter there, and, it's benefiting the YMCA camp. It's, it's not a publicity piece on behalf of the third party. I would agree that as a condition, Joyce, just to make sure we
Go ahead.
we convey this, that we have two special police, or two police on detail there for the event, and that Spring Meadow be notified early next week, Monday or Tuesday, since it's Friday, that this is going to be going on, because I don't want them panicking or people concerned what's going on, because that site they want to do is literally right behind the townhouses, in that section of the parking lot, as I understand it,
Okay.
Dave Murphy.
Tom, I was speaking to Nancy while you were all talking, and you want a fire engine there too? a fire
Yeah,
truck?
fire
Yeah,
truck,
pumper.
All right.
pumper with necessary staff. I don't know what necessary staff would be, right?
Would it be possible to get it out on our, on the town's news blast before Friday? Just so that people, there are tons of residents that work out at the Y, are going to be at the Y.
That's a good idea, too.
Just so that people know that there's not an incident that required a medevac helicopter, that it was
Sure.
part of a
Okay.
display.
We don't do that for the junior police.
Well, it was totally isolated
This is-
here.
yeah, I
Kind of, it was in the middle of a field.
You have.
Where you're
you
going to
know,
have a bunch
hundreds-
of people showing up to see it.
That was my thought.
Campers only.
I think you notify Spring Meadow,
Right.
we've covered a lot of,
Then maybe the
That's
Y
it.
could put up a
I
sign in
would,
the
I would,
lobby or
I would have the
something.
Y take care of it. I mean, it's a Y event. I don't think the town should get involved.
Okay.
Right, okay.
With,
They should alert their
publicizing
Normal
it
customers.
or giving advance notice of it either.
yeah, the Y should probably be the one notifying Spring Meadow.
Correct, correct, yeah. Correct.
By the way, I just had another thought, only because you mentioned that, because there's different ways to get into the Y, so I know we're going to have a couple of police there to ensure safety, but coming up that road or coming down the back road,
Charles, too.
all of a sudden, someone could be coming up there because they're near the hell, I don't know. So we'll review that again with Dave Murphy.
Okay, all right. What do you have to say about that?
All right?
Okay.
So I think that, we'll take care of that. Let's go on to, Rob, since here, do you have anything to report to us that we would need to know prior to the 8 o'clock meeting? I know we're gonna be going to a closed session afterwards for a couple of matters. Anything you need to tell us?
For the 8 o'clock agenda, no.
Okay, thank you.
Tom, the 8 o'clock agenda is the same as when I distributed it last week, just for your information.
Right, yeah,
No
okay.
changes.
Okay. Rudy, you wanna start with some committee reports?
I'll continue, okay, with also with the police committee. As you see, the hybrid SUV is part of the consent agenda. Tonight it's 19-247. We spoke about this last week. about the accelerated purchase of it rather than the hybrid, rather than buy another totally gasoline-powered vehicle. And we've worked out the financing, thanks to Diana McLeod, in working that out, because there is a little additional cost. Actually, some of the additional costs aren't fully known yet. Part of the cost that you either recapture or have to spend more is any equipment that you can move from an existing police vehicle into a new police vehicle, you don't have to buy again. You just use the same equipment. And we're not sure if certain pieces of equipment, such as the cage, will work, the one we're currently using in the vehicle to be retired will work in the new vehicle, or if it's going to have to be modified, or if we have to buy an entirely new cage. So there's some unknowns here, but we think we'll be okay in covering the costs on it. I think, on balance, the ability to reduce idling time is pretty significant. So we're still recommending we go ahead with this.
Right, I know Melissa brought it up in finance, which kind of got the ball rolling. Was there any comments? 'Cause
I just had a
Felt
question
strongly.
about, I mean, I think it's a great idea to make the switch now. Do we have any idea of cost savings on a year-to-year basis?
I was going to ask a similar question, because just to give an example, we had a minivan that was not a hybrid, that would get 18 to 20 miles a gallon, and replaced it with a hybrid, and it went up to 28 to 30 miles a gallon. So I'm curious whether we're going to get 10 miles per gallon. I know there's idling time, which actually should be a nice savings also, but you also save money on the...
On the miles per gallon.
Yeah.
I don't have those figures
I didn't know
that may be available from the manufacturer. I don't know. We could check with the rep.
Or even just, I'm curious whether there's any data taken on how many miles per gallon we get now
I don't
versus...
think we calculate that.
Yeah.
I think the biggest advantage is, we've both all pointed out, not only the MPG, but just reducing the idling time. That's exhaust going into the air, so trying to be environmental.
Folks from the Environmental Commission wanted statistics on idling, how long are idles, the vehicle's idle, and how much fuel is consumed. We have no way to gauge that necessarily, so this kind of makes it a non-issue.
Yeah.
You just don't idle on gasoline any longer.
I mean, the
What do
other
you mean,
two,
really?
the other positive thing is there's a 100,000 mile
Yeah,
warranty.
yeah.
So that's positive compared to the traditional gasoline,
Yeah.
so I think we're pretty excited about.
And what's the timing on the charging station that we were going to do at the barn? The pole barn?
The fall, sometime in the fall, but fall starts September 21 and goes to December 21.
Well, these charge
So where would they
themselves.
charge?
They charge themselves when the gasoline engine runs.
Yeah,
Oh,
but we're gonna do a future charge.
They're not totally electric.
Right,
Okay.
right. Okay, good, Rudy, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Don't-
Okay?
Yeah,
DPW. The world now knows that we have a barn moving crew on the DPW. We, on Thursday and Friday last week, we were able to preserve the last remaining barn on the Mere property on Wyckoff Ave. Thanks to Scott Fisher for engineering this, for organizing it. John Dennekamp, who actually engineered it, along with Joe Vanderplatt and the DPW barn moving crew, as I began calling them. Thanks to Bruce Bahoney from Brooks Builders, who was very patient in allowing us enough time to move it to the Wyckoff Community Park site right now. It was, Nancy had it on our weekly newsletter. There were some pictures of it, if anyone had a chance to look at that. And also thanks to Jimmy Marquez, my old friend Jimmy Marquez at Victory Iron Works, and the folks at Van Grau, who each actually gave us an I-beam that we could use to lift the building up with. So it was really kind of a neat community effort, and I'm real happy with it. And we're going to be looking for a relatively modest amount of money. And I've spoken to Diana about this from the Open Space Trust Fund, because this will be a park building in one of our parks, and also we figure it's 100+ years old. It's a rescue of a semi-historic building, I guess. And we have to put a new roof on it and do a little repairs on it. So I'll get back to you on that once I have a figure as to what we're looking at for approval on that. We took the bids on the paving contract on Thursday. The prices are up. It's $78.50 a ton this year for the asphalt, and the milling disposal is up to $4.58 a ton. It's about what's that ton, about a 10-11% increase, something like that?
11% increase over last year.
Primarily due to the increased price of oil and the increased cost of disposal of the milling product that we take off the roads. Scott will be working, there were 3 bidders, and D&L Paving was once again the successful bidder this year, and Scott can work with the folks from D&L. We'll get the most out of what we can do here. We always do that every year. The DPW also installed the drop box for payments on the front of Town Hall. If you come in the front door, you'll see it on the left there. Police Department, I covered. Planning Board. The Planning Board approved last Wednesday night a 3-lot subdivision on the property of the Grace United Methodist Church on Russell and Eder Ave. It's at the rear of the property. There are 2 lots that were created. Actually, there was 1 lot already. An additional lot was created on Farview Ave, and an additional new lot was created on Eder Ave. Also, which was approved as part of this minor subdivision, was the dedication. It's an old deed that the church has, and the church property goes to the center line of the road. So that was dedicated back to the county on Russell Ave and to the township on the Eder Ave side. That was it for the Planning Board. Sewers. There's no progress to report on the several projects we're working on, other than I am meeting Tuesday afternoon at 1:30 in Waldwick with Chairman Jimmy Rotunda from the Sewer Authority and Chief Engineer Howard Hurwitz to get an update and see where we want to have further efforts to get more sewers in town here. And I think that's all I have, Tom. Thank you.
Melissa?
I'm going to pick up on something with me and Rudy. We had a meeting at Zabriskie House. Connolly and Hickey started work on the renovations to Zabriskie in both the library and the study, I believe. So they're underway on that, and that was from the $350,000 grant that we got, that Zabriskie House got. So it was nice to see that beginning. The Environmental Commission and Board of Health are both on recess for the summer. Safety Committee is meeting later this month. And I attended the first concert on the beach at the Y with Evan Toth. It was very nice, very well attended. Some good Billy Joel and Elvis Costello covers. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Brian?
I will also be brief. I noticed that Bob Shannon, during his convalescence, is already back in the saddle and answering emails. So I'd like to thank him for his big commitment. Having had the same sort of surgery, I know what the recovery time is like, and it's pretty arduous. I wanted to bring up one thing. As a member of our utility committee, we were copied on a letter to Krista Phillips, our assemblyman for the 40th district, and it was regards to correspondence that he had sent to them. And I just want to read one sentence that is in this letter to Assemblyman Phillips. Jurisdiction over public utilities and their franchises rests with the board, that being the Board of Public Utilities. The board may grant franchises as well as control their property rights, and equipment, and that it gives a citation to New Jersey law for that. And I want to contrast that to a letter which we got on that's dated August 2nd, 2018. It came in actually the next day, I see, from the date stamp. We wrote to them and asked that they would take away the franchise from Orange and Rockland from their half of town, and this is what they wrote regarding that. Regarding your inquiry concerning the NJBPU decision to assign half of the Wyckoff to one utility and the other half of the township to another, Respectfully, the delineation dates back to over a century ago. We knew that. If you are interested in pursuing a change in utility service, this would require direct negotiation with the utilities at issue, as the electric infrastructure is privately owned and maintained. Therefore, the delineation is not within the purview of this board. So basically,
I'm glad you brought that up, because I thought the same thing when I shared that
and I
letter from
volunteered
Assemblyman.
to send them a letter pointing out this, unless you have a legal opinion about it, Rob. I just find it amazing that they cite a New Jersey state statute saying that they control their property rights and equipment.
Who
as well
was
as
the
the
author of
franchise.
the one that sent it to us?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
versus
say.
the one that
People?
sent it to
It's the same person.
Same person. That's
Joe
what I thought.
Fiordalioso.
Unbelievable. So they sent us a letter blowing us off that they can't do it, and then they contradict themselves in the letter to our
Yeah.
assembly.
Can we send them some? What you said you said?
Yeah, I'll draft, I think we should
Copy
just,
both letters and say we're totally
Yeah.
confused by the contradictory
yeah,
statements.
Right.
we can sign it.
I mean,
Great.
Orange and Rockland is owned by Con Ed, who still can't really explain to the governor of New York why they had a massive blackout for 5 hours in one of the biggest cities in the world. And that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with the same Con Ed type of company when we're dealing with Orange and Rockland, which is, it's a shame that we can't get our state to do what New York is talking about doing, maybe pulling the franchise from Con Ed.
Yeah.
Because they can't explain why, like, millions of people were out of electricity for 5 hours, and they have no good explanation for it.
Yeah. Okay, I will do that.
Good catch. Thank you.
Rob, I had one question for you, and maybe for the Township Committee. Will there be a process and a timeline set up for our review of the overlay ordinances? I think there's 3 or 4 of them, and a projected date for their introduction?
What's the extension date
Another
then?
extension. I think
August
it's only goes
31?
through August.
August 31st.
I just last week, I got it just when I got back. I got back comments from the intervener on Maple Bay. I'll look through that. I'm gonna get through that.
Could you share those?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I'll email that, and I probably should have sent it to you already. I think just before I went away, the planner gave me the additional ordinances, and I don't know.
No, I think we got all those.
Did you get those?
Yeah.
I
yeah.
thought Bob circulated them. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll get you the comments, and then this week I was hoping to get through them all, and I guess we'll put on a schedule as far as when they can get introduced, and when the planning board can look at them for review. And after that, it'll be a quick court hearing. And we
So we're probably, I mean, could we, I guess it wouldn't much matter whether we did it the second meeting of August or the first meeting of September if the planning board needs to see him in between.
Yeah, my guess is we've got an extension through August. I think we'll probably need one more through September, but we should be done by then.
Okay.
That would be my hope and my.
Could we have as a goal that we do it the first meeting in September, that we introduce
I
them?
think we need to do that because the clock is running on our grant also.
Right.
Yeah.
And I noticed on this.
Yeah, we need to do like March.
I'll map something out. I'll map up the timeline this week.
Okay. That's it for me. Thank you.
Brian, what's our distribution going to be on the letter? Back to the, we're going to see, it should be Rooney, DePhillips, Corrado, and who else?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Maybe we send it to our neighbors here
Isn't,
in northern Jersey that's in the Rockland.
Isn't former Senator Gordon the chairman of the BPU now?
Yes, I believe that he is. I think he's on the board.
He's not the chairman,
He's
but
All
he's
right,
on
he's
it.
on the board though.
Yeah.
So he would, you know,
Okay,
we could send it to the,
okay.
Should cover them.
should we send it to the Northwest Bergen mayors?
Yeah, I would. Sure. The ones that are served by Rockland. I
Yeah,
think most of them are. I think a
Yeah,
couple
well,
are.
Franklin Lakes, Allendale,
yeah, I think, okay.
Wawa.
Oakland,
Yeah.
yeah, Ramsey, yeah.
When did we leave off after they came to speak with us the last time? We had a lot of questions and a lot of concerns.
They were going to come back.
Well, now
we-
Michelle is gone.
Right. So we're gonna have to get them-
Can we get somebody else back before the winter season?
Yeah, we'll have to see if Bob can get them back to explain where they are now, because, they left us, we're doing this, we're gonna,
Yeah.
put these underground utilities in.
And then it was kind of silent.
It's gonna, I haven't seen anything on Brookside where they said this was all gonna start
I mean,
happening.
not coincidentally, last month's Northwest Bergen's mayor, they were there, but it was the same old.
Right.
Nothing about boots on the ground, nothing how they're gonna handle it, just a grandiose coverage, other than their number one top priority was Brookside Ave, and getting that done, probably because we're squealing on it.
Well, we also had some big concerns about what their definition of life-saving equipment was versus
Right.
what reality is, and so they kind of left us hanging on a bunch
I
of
think
that.
I think it would also make sense that we got some feedback from our emergency management officer. Because I don't think that he thinks much of what they said they've done so far.
Well, you also had those two incidents with people, that they shut their electricity off,
Right.
they didn't have backup boxes.
Yeah, I had brought that to the attention of Assemblyman DePhillips, that, please look into this, because I know he's on one of the subcommittees in the state that deals with it, but the fact that they left somebody possibly without electricity for the weekend, if it wasn't for our, for Tom downstairs in building, that he was able to approve the permits on short notice on a Friday at 4 o'clock, rather than go home, so that they can get the work done. I think it's a shame that the utility gave them the runaround and said, well, all you need to do is this, and then 4 hours later, no, it's not going to work, you got to do something different. So,
Sorry, I just wanted to pivot back 1 second. Rob, is it likely that the ordinances are going to need revisions? Because I know the timeline on getting the ordinances was a couple of months, so does it look like we're going to have to go back to Planner McManus on those?
Well, we might have to, but I would think they'd be minor. I mean,
Okay.
the major work and the major revisions was Maple Lake, and we're still doing that. We're almost there with that. I skimmed the stuff that he sent back.
So you think even if we have to go back and make revisions to the ordinances and then
We should be okay.
pass them, we should be within the
Yeah.
timeline?
Yeah, other one,
I looked at
I
I looked at the other ones, they,
pretty basic, right?
yeah.
I mean, look, I'm worried about timelines only to the extent that we want to get it done. It's been going on long enough. I think we want to get it done for ourselves, and we've got the county grant. The court, I'm not worried about getting additional extensions from the court. The case is settled, it's just a matter of proceeding.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jim.
all right, I'll be quick. The rec board meeting yesterday was canceled because there was nothing really to discuss on the agenda. So Andy Whitfield, our athletic director, called me and said on Friday, do you think we should just have a meeting to have a meeting? I said, well, it doesn't make sense. If you don't have an agenda, I would cancel it now, and instead of bringing our volunteers in for no purpose. So he canceled it. And he sent out the notices that required that it was canceled, because there was no business to really discuss. So there wasn't a rec board meeting this week and this month, and there will be one next month. And that's when the football is going to start. I believe the practice for the football program starts August 12th. So they'll have a meeting that week where the practice starts, and then the football season will kick off. The fireworks committee is going to meet this Thursday, so I'm happy to report that we're going to get together to try to put together fireworks for September. Two dates that I was able to confirm that are available where the field is open when I talked to Andy Wakefield was September 21st and September 28th. So the fireworks are most likely going to be either Saturday the 21st in September or the 28th. And I looked into a little bit further because there's a Greek festival at the Greek church. That is on the 21st. So if I'm going to bet what we're going to do, it's going to be the 28th. Most likely, it's going to be the 28th, unless we come to realize that there's another conflict, but we're not aware of any conflict for that. The fireworks extravaganza could do it on the 21st or the 28th. We just got to give them that firm date, and I think we'll be able to do a firm date after our meeting on Thursday. And the committee is going to discuss how we're going to try to put together a fundraiser. Since we don't really have to worry about paying for the fireworks now, everything that we're going to do as a fundraiser will go to benefit the volunteers of our fire departments on fire and our ambulance corps. So whatever we can raise, we're going to try to obviously raise the most for our volunteers, and we'll get there. We're going to explore the idea of possibly doing food trucks and trying to make it a community event where people come out, enjoy, have food, sit on the grass, and rather than sit in the Boulder Run parking lot. So we're going to try to make it a community event. So we'll see. I'll report back at our next meeting how that went, and I have enough members of the fireworks committee that'll be there that will get something done. I know some of them are on vacation. It's the summer, so it's tough to do a meeting of volunteers in the summer. So, but we'll get something done. And Bob will be there. He's going to finish up his. He's got some type of physical therapy treatment, and then and Jody's going to drop him off here, and then we're going to make sure we're going to get him home. So we'll get him there. We'll get him there. So, and I thank him for that. And just one other thing on my fire commissioner duties. I want to just, Joe Vanderplatte and Tim Brock have asked me to bring this up to the finance committee. They had approval in the budget for masks, and they've reached where they've got the 50 masks that they needed. I believe it was 50. But they were able to get masks where they didn't need to use the budgeted money in the budget for it, but they desperately say they need more bottles. So they want approval to take the money they didn't spend in their budget for the masks and transfer it so that they could purchase.
Just for your information,
Okay.
they've asked us 3 times, and we said we're willing to meet with them.
Okay.
So,
All right.
I don't know when this
Okay.
newest request came, but we said 3 times, they've asked, 3 times we came back, that they were very specific, but we're willing to meet with them, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. I will tell
I
them.
mean, they
that
started
we'll
this
meet.
by the end of May, early
Okay.
June, so.
I just wanted to let you know.
Okay.
All right, so we'll and I think that's just about it, except Ridgewood Village is meeting tomorrow in closed session. They called a special meeting to discuss the Ridgewood water litigation. I don't know what that means, but I'm not sure we're going to ever find out what they're discussing, or if it's, unless it involves settlement, and then they contact Joe Fiorenzo, our attorney, who I notified Joe that they're meeting, so hopefully he'll follow up to see if they have any interest in discussing a resolution to the matter. Well, that's it. That's all I got.
Thank you. I had 6 things, now I'm down to 2, because 4 of them were covered, which is fantastic. Just want to report, the subcommittee is meeting this Thursday morning. We talked about that our last meeting. We have a subcommittee, it's going to meet this Thursday. And the other thing is just point of interest to everybody, the Northwest Bergen Mayors, we had a meeting last Saturday, and we had Dave Grubb there. He gave us a lengthy presentation on holding meetings, the quorum, time limits, be specific, how much time people have. Everything that I did the last couple of meetings, don't do it that way. When it's exactly 2 minutes, tell them they gotta sit down. But I'm gonna continue with the discretion of the chair to be courteous to the people that take the time to come out and to want to speak. I just find it a little bit interesting that they were very stickler on the timing and make sure the meeting ends at a certain time at night, regardless of people are on their last breath of a comment, the lights are on or off. So I just found it kind of interesting, and I, of course, knowing my personality, I came back a couple of times and questioned them. And he said that that's the way it should be. The other thing, too, I found interesting, and several of the towns do it, where we have a public session at the work session at the beginning, and then we go into our business meeting, and we have the public comment at the beginning with the spirit and the intent that if somebody from the public wants to comment about something, we're going to deliberate on, or vote on, they would have that opportunity. I was surprised how many towns do it only at the work session. At the business meeting, you go at the end when all the business is all done. So that surprised me, but I think the way we're doing it makes the most sense as far as our residents and what we're trying to do in good governance.
I think that the way we do it is more in keeping with the Open Public Meetings Act.
Right.
Speaking as someone who was in public office when it was
Right.
adopted.
I mean, I appreciate it
Sorry
too.
about that, but-
Right.
Yeah, I think Ridgewood does it that way.
And
just
I
because
also,
so many
speaking
Ridgewood
of lengthy
villages.
comments at public meetings, I'm pleased to report that yesterday afternoon, the property maintenance company showed up and cleared up all the garbage from 550 Clinton Ave. So Jerry Getting's request was granted.
I thought you were going to talk about Bob Shannon when you talk about Lincoln.
Okay, so that's all I have. Now, we do have a few minutes left. I'm gonna, with a little indulgence, we have a pleasure tonight. We're gonna have both Louis and Nicholas Quatrero read us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So we're not there yet. It'll be at the 8 o'clock meeting, but I thought where we had a couple of minutes here, maybe both of you fellas could come forward. Nicholas, Louis, and just tell us why you're here, why you were here. We met a couple of weeks ago, and you're at Troop 89, you're working on your citizenship badge, and we'll let Louis go first. How about that? Throw your curve. What do you think? Speak right into that mic, or we'll move the mic. Just tell us about your Boy Scout, Troop 89. You were here like a month ago. We talked about a couple of subjects. Just share with us, and then we'll let you sit down, and then we'll bring you up to Pledge of Allegiance. All right, guys?
We're here for the flags.
Correct?
Thank you.
That's so far, you're off to a good start. But we were here a month ago. Why don't you just share with the rest of the governing body what we chatted about briefly? You're working on a couple of things for your citizenship badge, right?
Yes. I don't know what to say.
Well, tell us what you're working on.
Tom, you didn't make much of an impression at that meeting.
It made a big impression. These are two of the smartest boys I've ever come across in all my years. So we talked about, what did we talk about, do you remember?
Plastic bags and smart meters.
There you go.
There you go, that's
So we had
great.
lengthy discussions, you took a report down, right?
Yes.
Do you want me to come out there, we'll do like a ventriloquist act, do you want to do that? We could do that. And what do you have to say, Nicholas?
Yeah, we talked about plastic bags and smart meters and addressed some problems with them that the people are having.
Was it helpful to you?
Yeah.
And you're pursuing your citizenship badge, or what other badges?
We just need the citizenship badges. Those are pretty much the only badges we need left to get.
Okay.
Which ones are it?
You have anything else to add? How about this young fellow? Introduce yourself to us,
I'm Peter Buckland,
okay? And you're with Troop,
89, I'm with them,
and you're
same
working on
grade.
citizenship?
Yeah.
Do you think you could help us at 8 o'clock with the Pledge of Allegiance, lead us in the pledge? Would you be able to do that?
Yeah.
Right, and what are you doing specifically in your citizenship badge?
Attending the meeting.
Okay. And then you're gonna do a project on something, or?
No, I'm just here for the meeting, that's the requirement that I'm doing.
All right, well, good. All right, we'll look for it at 8 o'clock. We'll have you, all three of you come up and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. That sound good?
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Okay. With this, with that, I'm gonna take a brief recess, and we'll be back at 8 o'clock. Okay? Everybody all right?
Thanks.
All right. We'll
Thank
take a
you.
recess to 8 o'clock.
Thank you.
Rudy.
Want to see me? Uh-oh.
The smartest kid on the right. They were the most loquacious people they ever come across. They came with their mother. I know that.
Yeah.
They can't just do it. You know, basically saying.
Then just look at the guys looking for the road. So you get the deal. What happened was, I went to the insurance. I thought the insurance I've never, in 25 years, I've never seen police department won't do it without a court order or direction as opposed to the process. So we're kind of looking for court orders. I actually so when you and then really, he asked, I saw it, he was looking for, right, it's like, well, I don't, he says, no, we're not going. He says, I answer, and then maybe we can conference with the judge. Yes, that for liability wise, you can say that's right. That's kind of, that's why we have a procedure. I'm surprised. I'm curious to see if the judge is going to be on that. I wouldn't be surprised if the judge said, so we can want to report. Yeah, I want to evaluate that. It's not like we'd be looking for our own expert trying to combat it, just get a doctor.
Talk about it another time.
They'd meet each other, here you go. I don't think, I don't know if you read the back of his
That's a good idea. I agree. I don't know if we.
We don't need to get into it tonight, but at some point, we do.
Somehow, now we're going to have a resident pool to sell the park administrator.
One of the dad was asking me about that. There are rules.
Yes. I know. I think everybody just. No.
You are. You are. You are Peter, right? I mean, Peter. On the side of the road in the morning, every morning.
And you look great.
Oh, thanks.
Good feeling, right?
I said, you know what, I'm gonna try to see if we can get in that suit.
Yes, slip right in.
I slipped one. It's amazing what you can do if you track your calories. There's a Lose It app that I put everything I eat in there. So I'm like, all of a sudden I'm like, holy crow, look how many calories I just put in.
It's amazing what you can track, right?
Yeah. It's, especially on the weekends.
Mhm.
On the weekends, it's like, oh my gosh, what did I just do to myself?
Time to go for a run.
Yeah.
Joyce, can you see that on your screen?
I can. Oh,
If you move the flag,
no, I can't see it.
where do we have to move it?
Why don't, Rudy, I can't see it there.
Rudy, we can't see it.
Do you want to just put it in the middle again, and we'll move it back?
No, it's in black.
Really? You have to go pretty much behind Rob, or,
Can you see it now?
yes, I can.
You want to bring them both in the middle, state like that? or-
When you do it, we'll take a picture. Okay?
I wonder why.
Finally have air conditioning again.
Do you?
It's pretty nice.
Yeah, what happened?
One of my units,
One of the units
which is
broke.
my condenser, which was
I was gonna
over
say.
15 years old.
Yeah.
So we got home from vacation and it was dead.
Oof.
So for over a week, we had no AC upstairs.
Yeah, I was concerned with mine. The other day, all of a sudden, I'm like, why, it's not, it keeps going up, it's not going down. I went downstairs, the whole line iced up. I had to turn it off, let it melt, and then I turned it back on, and it didn't do it again. But if I would,
Freon or something?
I don't know, I mean, but it didn't do it again, so, and it cooled. So, if I have to, I'll call PSE&G, because I have no water referral. But mine's 11 years old now, so it's probably getting old. When I moved into town, we didn't have one, so I put it in, so it's about 11 years old now.
Do you have one unit or two?
Two, but the one unit hardly ever gets used because it's down on the lower level, and all the cold air from the upper level, because cold air sinks.
Yeah.
So it won't help me with the upper level if I crank that up, because it's not going to rise upstairs.
They actually think what happened is when they rebuilt my house like 15 years ago, that they took the existing AC unit and like reused it.
Yeah.
So it was probably like 20 years old.
Right.
So put in a new hot water heater. It was a fun week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my hot water heater is now 11 years old too, so I might have to
Mine was
replace that.
15 years old. I got like 5 extra years out of that.
Yeah, I know. So I might have to consider starting to replace that thing too.
I got a 75-gallon unit.
Yeah, you know what? I may increase it. I think I only have a 50.
You
So
know what, we had 60, and now they only made 50 and 75. I was like, I might as well go with 75.
yeah. Did you get the efficient one, the energy efficient one? Does it go into a chimney or does it have a PVC pipe that goes out the side of the house?
Goes out the flue.
Oh, yours is the flue, so you don't have the energy efficient one. I have the energy efficient one that, basically just some of the gases go out the side of the house.
Okay, ready to go? Joyce, ready to go?
I think so.
Okay, I'd like to call the 7 PM, the 8 PM business meeting, regular township committee meeting to order. right, we're gonna start with the flag salute. I'd like to have, Louis and Nicholas and Peter, that's what happens, you don't write it down, and Peter, come forward and lead us in the flag salute, please stand.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, now you guys stand there, I'm gonna ask, good job so far, I'm gonna ask Reverend Rudy Bonestruck to lead us in a prayer, and then we're gonna take a quick picture with you guys, all right? So let's do a quick
All right,
prayer.
everyone bow your heads, please. Father in heaven, we come to your presence again this evening to thank you for all of the blessings that you bestow on us in this wonderful land we live in this wonderful town we live in. We thank you for all of our first responders and our volunteers who serve on all of our boards and commissions and at every level of our government here in Township of Wyckoff. We now ask that you guide us in our deliberations tonight and help us to do the proper thing. We ask all this in your name, amen.
Thank you. Let's take a quick picture, right, fellas? Can we move the flag again? Since we're going to picture, take and move. Take a quick picture. Particularly where we have reached out. More towards the middle again.
Come on, PT.
It's not convenient, but it works. Once we get strong men here to help us. In the middle. Remove the mic. How's that? Yes.
3, 1, 2, 3.
Hey, Buckman, you want to get a picture with Peter Buckman? Huh? Everybody get ready to see it? You all good? You get a picture with everybody? Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Going back up. Going back up. I didn't hear guys, where we started. Good job. I'll get the ceiling. Good job. Good job. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Good job. Nice to meet you. Good job. You're all right. Thank you. Thank you. I'm not a reverend. I just still in.
Well, you were introduced as the Reverend.
Well, he did, that's right.
You're as much as a reverend as he is.
Exactly.
Joyce, could you read the Open Public Meetings Act statement,
Sure,
please?
of course. This regular meeting of the Township Committee of the Township of Wyckoff is now in session. In accordance with Section 8 of the Open Public Meeting Act, I wish to advise that notice of this meeting has been posted on the bulletin board of Memorial Town Hall. Copies have been filed with the town clerk. Copies were sent to the Ridgewood News, the Record, and North Jersey Herald and News. All newspapers with general circulation throughout the Township of Wyckoff. At least 48 hours prior to the meeting, the agenda was posted, filed, and mailed to the papers. And I note those present, Mayor.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, can I have a motion for public comment period? This is 5 minutes per speaker for public comment on any government issue that a member of the public feels may be concern to the residents of the
So moved.
Township of Wyckoff.
Someone.
Second.
All in
Anybody in the
favor?
audience wish to come
Aye.
forward and speak? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Lisa Idell, 408 Buckingham Circle, Wyckoff. I just wanted to follow up on the subcommittee meeting. I didn't know if you referred to the subcommittee as a subcommittee to decide whether or not to fly the rainbow flag or the other commemorative flags in town, if that's what you meant was
Yeah,
meeting on
that's a
Thursday.
subcommittee.
Okay.
We're doing this Thursday, we fight vacation schedules.
Yeah. Okay, so it hasn't met yet, but you're planning on meeting on
This
Thursday?
Thursday, yeah.
Okay, do you have an idea of when a decision will be made on that?
I think we'll be able to definitely report by our next meeting.
Okay.
At least report on
The
our
status.
initial meeting. yeah.
Okay, great. All right, thank you.
And I think that's August 6th, if I,
2 weeks?
I believe it is August 6th.
Okay,
is that our next meeting?
Yes.
August 6th.
all right, thank you very much.
All right, well, thank you. Anybody else in the public wish to come forward and speak, comment? Tim Buckman, nothing tonight? No, all right.
Seeing no one, I move to close the public comment section.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, can I have a motion for the approval of July 2nd Township Committee work session and regular business meeting minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Boonstra?
Yes.
Mrs. Rubenstein?
I abstain.
Mr. Scanlon?
Yes.
Mr. Stanley?
Yes.
Mayor Madigan?
Yes. And Ms. Rubenstein, you abstained as you were not here, correct?
Right, I was in Charleston.
All right, okay. All right, consent agenda, Joyce, please?
Sure. All matters listed below are considered by the Township Committee to be routine in nature. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If any discussion is desired by the Township Committee, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. Resolutions, adoption of the following. 246, authorized contract to pave roads. 247, authorized purchase of police vehicle from state contract. 248, payment of bills. 249, return of certain overpaid taxes, etc. 250, authorized shared service contract. 251 through 255, refund performance bonds. 745 Hickory Hill Road, 294 Boris Avenue, 410 Hidden Valley Road, 309 Cedar Hill Avenue, and 85 Morley Drive. Closed session, NJSA:4-12B5, acquisition of property. Motions, or motion, approve the junior Wyckoff volunteer firefighter applications from Joseph John Squillace III, Patrick Sharrow, and Ludwig Gerhard. Can I have a motion on the consent agenda, please?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
Mr. Boonstra?
Yes.
Mrs. Rubenstein?
Yes.
Mr. Scanlon?
Yes.
Mr. Shanley?
Yes.
Mayor Madigan?
Yes.
All right, we have one ordinance for public hearing this evening. It's ordinance number 1882, entitled "An Ordinance to Provide a Certain Capital Improvement in the Township of Wyckoff and to Provide for the Receipt, Acceptance, and Deposit of Grant Funds Therefore." For second reading by title only, a copy of the ordinance has been posted on the bulletin board in Town Hall, where public notices are customarily posted, and copies have been made available to members of the general public of the township who have requested the same.
I move the ordinance on second reading by title only.
Second.
Mr. Boonstra?
Yes.
Mrs. Rubenstein?
Yes.
Mr. Scanlon?
Yes.
Mr. Shanley?
Yes.
Mayor Madigan?
Yes. This is the time and the place for the public hearing on ordinance number 1882. All persons who wish to be heard, please state your name and address before making your statement.
I move that the public hearing on the ordinance be closed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved by the Township Committee of the Township of Wyckoff that ordinance number 1882B, and the same is hereby adopted. The municipal clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish a notice of final passage of said ordinance in the official newspaper for the township as provided by law.
I move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Boonstra?
Yes.
Mrs. Rubenstein?
Yes.
Mr. Scanlon?
Yes.
Mr. Shanley?
Yes.
Mayor Madigan?
Yes. Joyce, just for clarification,
Sure.
we did vote on the consent agenda,
Yes, we did.
okay, and we voted on the minutes,
And we voted on the minutes
and we
as
did
well.
the ordinance.
And the ordinance.
Okay, so now
We have it covered.
we're good, other than we're going to go into executive session. So can I have a motion to recess to go into closed session?
I think I would make a motion to adjourn the business meeting and go into executive session.
We're not going to adjourn though, right? We're not adjourning. You have to come
We've
back.
adjourned the work
No, recess,
session, right?
Recess.
The work session is,
No, we got to recess.
we got a recess on a work session?
I'm not going to adjourn it because we're going to come back. We're going to come back
I
to
think
the
he's
action.
right.
We're going to recess. Recess.
Motion to recess,
And
the
then
work
go into
session,
the
the closed Yeah,
Second.
and go into
All in
closed
favor?
session.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Please note, it's only 10 past 8, 10 minutes, not bad. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Stay cool. Thank you, boys. We'll see you soon.